Welcome back to Courtroom Conversations, right here on the Classic Courtroom YouTube channel. If you're enjoying these deep dives into fascinating legal cases, don't forget to hit that like button. And subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. I'm Dylan Brooks Hamilton, and I'm joined today by the brilliant Susan Kelly Ashford.
Always a pleasure to be here.
So we've got a case that's sending shockwaves through the entertainment world. The Sean Diddy Combs saga. We know he's facing those federal charges, but things just got a whole lot more complicated.
Yeah, they really did. 5 anonymous accusers have just come forward with lawsuits alleging that Combs drugged and raped them. These alleged incidents span over 2 decades, giving us a lot to unpack.
Okay, let's unpack this. It sounds like these accusations paint a pretty disturbing picture, with a recurring theme of drug drinks and assaults happening at parties or private residences. We're even seeing allegations of Combs' entourage being involved.
That seems to be the case. What's fascinating here is the consistency across these accounts. It's not just one isolated incident, but a pattern that allegedly emerges over time.
Yep. So let's dive into the specifics of these accusations. We've got 5 lawsuits here, each with its own unique details. Where should we start?
Well, chronologically, the earliest accusation takes us back to 2001. A man from Texas, identified as John Doe, claims he was assaulted during a music video audition. This was during the peak of Combs' music video era, known for those lavish productions.
Remember those videos.
Well, this John Doe claims he was offered a Diet Coke in the hotel room where the audition was taking place. He says he blacked out after drinking it, and then woke up to find Combs, a bodyguard, and another employee assaulting him.
Wow.
This detail is particularly unsettling, because this wasn't a random encounter at a party. This was someone seeking a professional opportunity.
Right. That adds a whole other layer to this. It makes you wonder about the power dynamics at play. Was this a pattern of behavior, using auditions as a way to prey on aspiring talent?
It's a question that definitely needs to be explored.
Now, moving to 2004, we have another Jane Doe, this time from Texas, who claims she was just 17 years old when she attended Combs' 4th of July party in the Hamptons.
According to her lawsuit, she was given a drugged alcoholic drink at the party and subsequently lost consciousness. When she regained consciousness, she claims she was in pain, and that Combs and his bodyguards threatened her.
Threatened her? What do you mean?
The lawsuit states that she was only allowed to leave after agreeing not to contact the police. They allegedly returned her purse and phone in exchange for her silence.
That's chilling. This isn't just about assault. It's about using power to control and silence potential victims.
Exactly. It creates an environment where victims may feel too intimidated or scared to come forward.
Let's fast forward to 2022. We have 2 separate lawsuits from this year, one from a John Doe in Georgia and another from a John Doe in Florida. Both allege that Combs drugged and sexually assaulted them.
The Georgia John Doe claims he was assaulted at a house party in New York City. What's striking about this accusation is that he was 39 years old at the time, hardly someone easily manipulated. This challenges the typical assumptions about victims.
It really does make you think. And the Florida John Doe alleges he was assaulted after being invited to an after-party in Miami. This case involves Combs' security team allegedly instructing him to leave after the assault.
Right. It raises the question of just how widespread this alleged behavior was. Was there a culture of complicity within Combs' inner circle? Were others aware of what was happening and choosing to look the other way?
It's certainly something investigators will need to dig into. Now, the 5th and final lawsuit takes us back to 2001. A Jane Doe from Maryland claims that she and 2 friends were invited into Combs' SUV by him and his security team while attending a Halloween party at Club New Yorker.
This accusation is particularly disturbing, as the lawsuit states that Jane Doe was drugged inside the vehicle and, along with her friends, forced to perform oral sex on the men present. This once again raises concerns about the role of Combs and entourage. Were they active participants in this alleged assault, or were they just following orders?
Right. It seems like Combs' security team is implicated in several of these accusations, raising those questions of complicity that you mentioned earlier.
Absolutely. These aren't just isolated incidents involving Combs alone. We need to examine the role of those around him and whether they enabled or facilitated this alleged behavior.
Now, Combs is obviously denying all of this. His legal team is calling these lawsuits shameless publicity stunts aimed at extorting money.
And they're pointing to a recent lawsuit filed against the accuser's attorney, Tony Busby, by an anonymous male celebrity. This plaintiff claims that Busby tried to extort money from him by threatening to file a lawsuit containing false allegations.
So it's a classic he said, she said situation. But what's interesting here is that Combs' legal team isn't just denying the accusations. They're actively attacking the credibility and motives of the accusers and their lawyer. This is a common tactic, but will it be effective?
That remains to be seen.
However, before we jump into the legal strategies at play here, there's another layer to this case that we need to discuss, the issue of anonymity.
Right. A federal judge, Mary Kay Weisgesell, has actually questioned the use of anonymity in these lawsuits. She's arguing that the public has a right to know who's using their courts.
This raises a fascinating legal and ethical dilemma: the right to privacy versus the principle of open justice. Susan, can you walk us through the arguments on both sides?
Of course. On one hand, we have the accusers who are alleging serious trauma and may fear retaliation or public shaming if their identities are revealed. These are incredibly sensitive allegations, and it takes immense courage to come forward, especially against someone as powerful and influential as Sean Combs.
Yeah, I can only imagine the pressure and scrutiny they might face if their names were made public.
Exactly. And that's why anonymity can be such a crucial factor in encouraging victims of sexual assault to seek justice. It provides a layer of protection, a shield that allows them to share their experiences without the immediate fear of reprisal. It can be empowering, allowing them to focus on pursuing justice rather than worrying about the potential fallout.
But then there's that other side of the coin, the principle of open justice. The idea that legal proceedings should be transparent, that the public has a right to know who's making accusations and why.
Right. This principle is a cornerstone of our legal system. It ensures fairness and accountability, preventing the courts from becoming a tool for secret vendettas or unfounded attacks. It protects the accused from being tried and condemned in the shadows, ensuring their right to due process.
So how do we balance these competing interests? It's a delicate tightrope walk, isn't it?
It is. And there's no easy answer. No one-size-fits-all solution. Each case needs to be evaluated on its own merits, considering the specific facts, the potential for harm, and the need for transparency.
In this case, Judge Weisgesell seems to be leaning towards transparency. She's expressed concerns about the potential for abuse when anonymity is granted too readily.
Her argument boils down to this: allowing accusers to remain anonymous could potentially open the door for false accusations to be made without consequence. It could erode public trust in the legal system and make it more difficult for genuine victims to be believed.
It's a valid concern. False accusations, while rare, do happen, and they can have devastating consequences for the accused.
Absolutely. And the judge's ruling on this issue could set a precedent for future cases, influencing how courts handle anonymity in similar situations.
It's definitely something to keep an eye on. Now, shifting gears for a moment, let's talk about the potential ramifications for Sean Combs. What are the stakes for him in this legal battle?
The stakes are incredibly high, both personally and professionally. He's facing multiple federal charges, including sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation for prostitution. These aren't just misdemeanors. We're talking serious felonies. That could lead to a lengthy prison sentence.
We're talking about potentially decades behind bars.
And even if he's acquitted on those charges, the damage to his reputation and his career could be irreparable. Combs' brand is built on this carefully cultivated image of success, charisma, and power. These accusations, regardless of their validity in court, strike at the very core of that image.
And then there's the financial fallout to consider.
Oh, absolutely. Legal fees, potential settlements, lost business opportunities. The financial burden could be staggering. This is a case with far-reaching consequences. And it's only just beginning.
So what can we expect to see unfold in the coming months?
Well, that first hurdle will be the judge's decision on the anonymity issue, if she rules against the accusers. They'll have to decide whether to proceed with their lawsuits using their real names.
And that could be a turning point. They may not be willing to risk that level of public exposure, particularly if they fear retaliation or harassment.
It's a tough choice to make, but even if they do move forward, we're looking at a long and drawn-out legal battle. Discovery, depositions, motions, expert witnesses. It's a complex and expensive process, likely to drag on for years.
And the media attention, I imagine, will only intensify as this case progresses.
Oh, absolutely. This case has all the ingredients of a legal drama: a high-profile celebrity, allegations of serious misconduct, and the potential for dramatic twists and turns. The media will be all over this, analyzing every detail, interviewing experts, and speculating about the outcome.
And that adds another layer of complexity. We're not just talking about a legal battle. We're talking about a public relations battle.
And the court of public opinion can be just as influential as the actual courtroom.
Now, stepping back a bit, this case raises some broader questions about the entertainment industry as a whole. What does it tell us about power dynamics, accountability, and the culture of silence that often surrounds these kinds of allegations.
We've seen this pattern repeat itself across industries, but perhaps it's even more pronounced in the entertainment world. A powerful figure is accused of misconduct, and there's this immediate wave of denials, victim blaming, and efforts to protect the accused. It speaks volumes about how power and influence can be used to silence victims and obstruct justice.
It's as if the industry itself is designed to protect its own, even when those within its ranks are accused of serious wrongdoing.
And that can create an environment where victims are terrified to come forward. They know they'll likely face disbelief, backlash, and even career sabotage. It perpetuates a culture of silence, where abuse can fester and thrive in the shadows.
It's a disheartening reality. But is this case, with its high profile and the sheer number of accusers, a potential catalyst for change? Could it force the entertainment industry to confront its demons and enact real, lasting reform?
It certainly has the potential. The #MeToo movement has brought these issues to the forefront, empowering survivors to speak out and demand accountability. This case, with its scale and scope, could amplify that movement and put even greater pressure on the industry to clean up its act.
What kind of changes are we talking about?
Well, we need to see more than just lip service. We need stronger safeguards against harassment and assault, clearer reporting procedures, and a greater willingness to believe and support victims. We need a system that doesn't prioritize protecting powerful figures over seeking justice. For those who have been harmed,
It's a tall order, but it's absolutely essential if we want to create a truly safe and equitable environment for everyone.
and it's a conversation we need to keep having, not just in Hollywood, but across all industries and all levels of society.
Now, going back to the specifics of this case, one element that stands out to me is the alleged involvement of Combs' entourage in several of these accusations.
Yes. That's a crucial aspect of this case that warrants further examination. We need to understand the extent to which these individuals were aware of Combs' alleged behavior, and whether they played any role in enabling or facilitating it. It goes beyond individual accountability and delves into the concept of complicity.
Right. Were they active participants? Or simply turning a blind eye to what was happening around them?
Yeah.
Were they pressured to stay silent? It raises a lot of questions about the power dynamics at play and the potential for abuse within these kinds of hierarchical structures.
Absolutely. And if we think about the broader implications, it makes you wonder how common this kind of complicity might be, not just in the entertainment industry, but in any environment where there's a power imbalance.
It's a disturbing thought, but it's a conversation we need to have.
Definitely. Now, let's shift our focus to Tony Busby,
Yeah.
the lawyer representing the accusers.
He's certainly not shy about taking on high-profile cases.
No. He's known for his aggressive legal strategies and his willingness to go toe-to-toe with powerful opponents. And he stated his intention to file even more lawsuits against Combs. This could be just the tip of the iceberg.
It sounds like he's going on the offensive. But with those allegations of extortion against him, could this backfire?
That lawsuit filed by the anonymous male celebrity adds another layer of complexity to this already intricate case. It casts a shadow of doubt over Busby's credibility and could potentially damage his reputation.
It's a classic he said, she said scenario.
Exactly. And it'll be up to the courts to sift through the evidence, weigh the competing narratives, and ultimately determine the truth.
This case is captivating, complex, and raises some crucial questions about power, justice, and the culture of silence. It's going to be fascinating to see how it all unfolds. It seems like this case hinges on several key legal concepts, and one that immediately comes to mind is consent.
Yeah, you're right. Proving or disproving consent in a sexual assault case can be incredibly challenging, particularly when alcohol or drugs are involved. It becomes a matter of determining whether someone was truly capable of making a clear and informed decision.
And in several of these lawsuits, the accusers alleged they were drugged before the alleged assaults occurred.
Right. That's a significant factor that adds another layer of complexity. If someone is incapacitated due to drugs or alcohol, they cannot legally consent to sexual activity. It raises questions about whether Combs knew or should have known that the accusers were in a state where they couldn't give consent.
So even if Combs argues that the encounters were consensual, if the accusers can prove they were drugged without their knowledge, that could dismantle his defense.
Exactly. It shifts the burden of proof to the defense. They would need to demonstrate that Combs had no reason to believe the accusers were incapacitated, which could be incredibly difficult given the recurring allegations of drugging.
And that brings us back to the alleged involvement of Combs' entourage. If they were aware that the accusers were drugged, It could suggest a pattern of predatory behavior and complicity.
Precisely. The actions and knowledge of those around Combs become critical pieces of the puzzle. Were they actively participating in this alleged scheme, or were they simply bystanders? Investigating their roles will be crucial in determining the full scope of what transpired.
Right. It highlights the fact that justice isn't just about individual accountability. It's also about holding those who enable or facilitate wrongdoing responsible for their actions.
Absolutely. It sends a message that turning a blind eye to such behavior won't be tolerated. It reinforces the idea that we all have a responsibility to speak up and challenge injustice when we see it.
Now, looking beyond this particular case, could this be a watershed moment for the entertainment industry? Could it lead to real and lasting change in how sexual assault allegations are handled?
I think it has the potential. The Me Too movement has ignited a powerful conversation about power, abuse, and consent. It has empowered survivors to come forward and demand accountability. This case, given its high profile, and the sheer number of accusers, could serve as a catalyst for further change.
What kind of concrete changes would indicate a real commitment to addressing this issue within the industry?
Well, it needs to go beyond mere words and gestures. We need to see tangible actions. Stronger safeguards against harassment and assault need to be implemented. Clear and accessible reporting procedures established. And a culture of believing and supporting survivors needs to be cultivated. The industry needs to demonstrate a genuine commitment to creating a safe and equitable environment for everyone.
So it's not just about policies and procedures. It's about shifting the culture itself.
Precisely. It's about dismantling the power structures that allow abuse to flourish and fostering a culture of respect, accountability, and transparency. It's about creating an environment where survivors feel safe to speak out without fear of retaliation or disbelief.
It's a monumental task.
Yeah.
But it's a necessary one if we truly want to see change.
And while this case focuses on the entertainment industry, the issues it raises are universal. Power dynamics, consent, and accountability are relevant in every sector of society. The conversations we're having about this case have the potential to inspire change, far beyond Hollywood.
Well said. As this complex and challenging case unfolds, we here at Classic Courtroom will continue to follow every development, providing you with in-depth analysis and expert insights.
We'll be closely examining the legal strategies, scrutinizing the evidence, and exploring the broader implications of this case for both the entertainment industry and society as a whole.
So make sure you hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming deep dives into this captivating case.
And in the meantime, we encourage you to continue the conversation. What does this case reveal about the challenges of seeking justice in cases of sexual assault? How can we create a culture where survivors feel empowered to speak their truth? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's engage in a thoughtful and respectful dialogue.
Because only through open and honest conversation can we hope to create a world where everyone feels safe, respected, and empowered. That's all the time we have for today, but we'll be back next week with another fascinating case that's sure to ignite your legal curiosity.
Until then, stay informed, stay engaged, and as always, keep those courtroom conversations going.